Thanks very much for joining me. I appreciate it.
Sean, thank you very much. I really feel honored that you've asked me. So thank you very much. I always make time for you.
Awesome. I really do appreciate it. So, Meyer, you get a prestigious career. It's a young career so far, but you've been to Pezula, Simola, San Lemire. You're now the general manager at Knysna. In between that, I haven't got my timing right, but you spent some time in the States working for Brandon Grace. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's 100% correct, Sean. I like the fact that you said in my young career, my wife and friends doesn't think like that anymore. I'm turning 44 this year, so if you think it's young, I feel pretty good about it. But yeah, I mean, I've had a very, very good career. I must be honest. I think I've been dealt with some really good cards in my life, which also helped along the way. So, and I've really enjoyed the journey so far.
All right. So when did you spend the time in the States with Brandon, and then what? Just talk us through your role. Were you his manager or?
Yeah, so maybe just to give you a little bit of background, I started off think that I know everything, and I started as an apprentice at Sparrowbush days under Jeff Claus, which is still like a father and a mentor to me today. I was there for 5 years at Sparrowbush Pezula. Then I left to Simola for 5 years when that opened up. I went back to Pezula as the general manager, and then 7 unbelievable years at San Lemire. And then Gracie called me up, something that we've been chatting for years about, and said, Meyer, I think the time is right now. I was extremely happy at San Lemire, but it's always something I wanted to do. And because of our relationship, obviously I thought, will be just a step in the right direction. I was concerned about our friendship and working together, which we discussed in length, and decided to do it. We packed up, we moved over to the States. I was there, and let me tell you what an unbelievable experience. I mean, I just saw a different world. Working with Brandon was absolutely phenomenal. He really looked after me, and I would say that our friendship just got stronger. I did say to myself, you must realize that he is your friend, but apart from that, you need to put your working cap on. And sometimes when you work, he's the boss. He's got to make the calls. I'm there to look after him. So my role was to look after Brandon. I was his on-tour manager, and I just was there to make his life easier. Which if you make the cuts, life is easy. If you miss a cut, life is tough. Yeah. But it was just such a different scope of work for me. I mean, I got thrown onto the tour, something I didn't have any background about or I knew anything about. And Brandon didn't like to tell me too much. He said to me, "You gotta just learn the ropes. You gotta find it out yourself," which was interesting. I knew nothing about airplanes. I knew nothing about those type of stuff. But I quickly got to learn it, and what a great experience.
Can well imagine. I mean, I'm just intrigued. I mean, we can talk all day. I can imagine the stories you've got to tell, the people you've met, the players
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. What a pleasure. But that's for another conversation. I remember reading somewhere, and I'm not sure if your wife is going to listen to this, but you mentioned something along the lines of your experience at the Par 3 contest at the Masters is one of your lifetime greatest experiences. Just talk us through that. What makes it so special?
I tell you what, just the fact I think to go to the Masters and to go and see Augusta is just, I don't think there's too many people in the world that gets that honor. And when Brandon got in for his first Masters, he phoned me up. He says, Meyer, we've been talking about it for many years. This is your chance. Come, I invite you to come as my guest. I was obviously bowled over. I mean, we went with his family, with his mum and dad, which we love to bits. It's like parents to us. And we flew together. We've traveled quite a bit in the past. And we got to the Masters. And I tell you what, it's just so much to take in. And obviously it was useful. And when Brandon asked me to caddy for him in the Par 3 contest, it was just, I can't tell you the emotions that went through my head. I had to pinch myself and say, is this really happening? And Brandon did have to remind me that he's the player and I'm not, because I get so ahead of myself. I walk on the driving range and I think I'm the player. But the whole experience was just overwhelming. You go to this Par 3 course and there's just 8 lines deep people, spectators, or as we call them, patrons, watching this amazing, fun tournament. And you walk down these aisles to the first tee, and every tee you meet the celebrity. There's just so much to take in. And then, needless to say, I think it was on the 5th or the 4th hole, there was a little 2-meter putt, and he passed over the putt, and he said, "It's your turn." Now, I've never been so nervous in my entire life. He was obviously hoping that I'm going to miss it, but you know, I'm such a good putter, and I'm in the middle. Just thereafter, obviously, the whole tournament. You know, people tell you about the Masters and they tell you about Augusta, but it was just 100 times better for me. You know, so that was really one of my highlights of my life.
So, May, I had a bit of a technical glitch there. Just we lost a bit of connection there. Just, did you make the putt or not?
Can't believe you even asked me that. Of course I made it. I boxed it right in the middle of the hole.
Silly question.
Brandon wanted me. I could see in his eyes that he really wanted me to miss it. But
okay.
You know, luckily I made it.
Fantastic. What a memory. Shit. So Brandon's playing on the LIV Tour now. What's your thoughts? Just, I mean, it's in the forefront. What do you take on it?
So when you talk about LIV Golf, it's very similar than talking about vaccinations.
Okay.
You know, some people are for it, some people are against it. I've had many discussions with many different players and people around the world. Some are very pro, some are totally against it. I'm extremely pro LIV Golf. I absolutely love it. I love the concept. I actually don't know what the big fuss is. I don't know why so many people is upset. I mean, if you phone me tomorrow and you tell me you're going to make millions at another job, I'm going to say to you, my friend, I'm delighted to hear that for you. You know, LIV Golf might not be for everybody, but that's fine. That's the same as IPL cricket. You know, it's maybe not everybody's ball game, but I personally think it's attracted more people to the game. It's now there's people playing on LIV, there's people playing on the PGA Tour. There's a lot of youngsters that look up and say, I want to go and play there. Who cares? Who cares where you play? I mean, you can make a living and you can look after your family, and why not? So, although I've got a lot of respect for the PGA, obviously, it's still, I think, the strongest tour. LIV for me is just, I can't wait to watch it. You know, there's so much more than just watching golf. There's a team element involved in it as well. So I said to Brandon last week when I spoke on the phone with him, I said, you know, it's amazing to me that I can see that you guys are loving it, but you also you're so focused, and I think the quality golf is exceptional because you're not playing just for yourself, you're playing for your 3 other mates, and so whatever you do is for the whole team, and I just love it. I think it brings a whole element to golf, and like I say, it might not be for everybody, but I'm a huge LIV supporter and an even bigger Stinger supporter.
Okay, no, thanks for that. That's an amazing insight. I mean, I totally agree with you. You can't decide for the players; it's their free choice, and this financial security is you can never fault that. Yeah? Just and again, I totally agree with you. There's always 2 sides to the coin. So, like, this week is the PGA Championship. So this was one of not my concerns, but when LIV first came about, this is what kind of like touched me. Like, I'd spent years watching Louis almost win major after major. And so what's your sentiment now, not being able to see Brandon at the PGA Championship, knowing that when Brandon's on his game, he can compete with anyone? I mean, so how do you feel that he's not there? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the fact, you know, let me first start out to say it's not like they're not there. Brandon is he's going to go and try to qualify next week for the US Open. So it's not like they're not there. They've still got an opportunity to get into these tournaments.
Okay.
And if I look at Brandon, you know, I shouldn't speak on his behalf, but that's sort of what I feel. You know, there was at one stage where Brandon really, he was saying, you know, I don't really know if I really enjoy it anymore. You know, I could stop. You know, and if you talk to him now, all he wants to do is play golf. He wants to play one tournament after the other. He's really enjoying his golf again. So to answer your question on that, yeah, to look at the Masters and not see him there, and I know for a fact he can win it. It's sad, but that's also not the end of the world. There's so many other good things out there. So I would like with time they can come to an agreement in some sort of a way, and we can see all these great players competing on the same stage. Because at the moment, to be fair, the world rankings doesn't mean anything to me. You know, how can you rank when you haven't got some of the best players in the world not in this system? So I'm more upset about that than not seeing them at the majors. You know, I would like to see a world ranking points or a world ranking system where the LIV guys are also on there. I mean, there you've got Dustin Johnson, you've got phenomenal players, and they know where to be ranked, which I don't think is fair.
Yeah, fair enough. A very valid point. It's certainly, I mean, it's brought it to the forefront, and it needs to be addressed. I suppose the challenge is when that will happen is no one really knows, which doesn't help matters, does it?
Yeah, I think the only challenge there is the fact that they play 36 holes. So a lot of people will say, but how can you get world ranking points when you don't play 72? Okay, I take your point, but surely there's some clever oaks out there that can work it. In fact, if you look at the world ranking system, just the fact how they worked it out, I don't know. So I'm sure they'll be able to come up with something to say, yeah, the LIV players can now compete for world ranking points, and we as spectators can go and see the best players in the world.
Yeah, and again, in the end of the day, the game is about the spectators, isn't it? The mass of people that want to see the top players playing in the top events.
100%. I mean, 100%. We want to. If you want to watch golf, it doesn't matter where you play. We want to see the best players in the world. You know, it's sad to see that guys in LIV, some of the best players in the world, is nowhere on the world ranking system because they can't get ranked. It's sad, very sad for me.
Yeah. Thanks for that. I appreciate your honesty and your openness, and I mean, again, I think like we love the game, and we also love to understand what goes on behind the scenes. You know, how these top players that we admire making their decisions. So thanks for your honesty. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, you know, again, I'm not speaking on behalf of other people, but you know, there's some players that I might have questioned to say, why would you have joined LIV Tour? You know, if you're a youngster and you were ranked #1 in the world, why would you really want to go and do that? But again, we can't answer on their behalf. I mean, if you play a lot of less golf and you make a lot more money, why not?
Yeah, no, for sure. So we're going to move on just to your current role. And I just want you, I mean, for people that are going to be watching this, not from South Africa, they don't know the pristine area, and particularly, I mean, the Garden Route, where you're basically in the heart of the Garden Route, is just blessed with some incredible golf courses, world-class golf courses. So tell the viewers why, if they come to the Garden Route, why should they stop at Knysna? Other than you being there and being there, but tell us about Knysna. It's a beautiful track, but I'd love to hear why someone would stop there.
I would like more to talk about not just Knysna. I would want to talk about the whole of the Garden Route. I mean, I think it's the mecca of golf. You know, we are so blessed with so many great golf courses, and you're really spoiled for choice. So the nice thing is when you come on a golf tour, you know, they always go, you go into a region, and the next year you go to another region. Well, you can come to the Garden Route for a couple of years in a row because there's so many fantastic golf courses to play. And apart from the great golf courses, there's just so much more offerings in terms of restaurants and pubs and nightlife and so many different things. You know, you can land in George and you can get a great taxi service. You don't have to worry about driving, you and your group, and just go and play some phenomenal courses. I mean, you know, if we talk about Knysna, you've got Knysna Golf Club, you've got Simola, you've got Pezula, all in one little town. So you can come to Knysna and not leave for the whole weekend. So you don't have to worry about driving. There's some phenomenal restaurants, and there you've played Friday, Saturday, Sunday golf. You haven't left the town. You're safe. Everything is working. Can't think of anything better.
No, fantastic. That's one. Man, that's awesome. I mean, I've been fortunate enough to. Well, I think when I met you, I used to run some significant golf tours to the area, and it is. I can certainly vouch. It is certainly the pinnacle of a destination for golf in South Africa. So enjoy your time there. I want to thank you once again for making time to chat to me. And
it's always great chatting to you, and I really appreciate it. And anytime if you've got more questions or want to know more things that I can guide you, please give me a call.
I appreciate that, Meyer. Thanks once again, and we'll stay in touch.
Have a good weekend.
So you too. Take care, Meyer.
Yes, man. Bye.
Bye-bye.